I suppose why we chose the menu and why we incorporated those ingredients was a result obviously from our tasting and the research that we did. Seeing sort of firsthand how John goes about his operations of his team by actually physically going to the farm and picking the fresh hops when at their ripest, and then bringing them back to the shed, as it's called, where the lager's made. But I think just sort of seeing that firsthand and seeing where these limited release bottles come from and the fact that they're right there in front of you in sort of 2 big tanks and that's it, and just sort of talking through the processes of it was really sort of inspirational. The first course is a little sort of assiette of seared Queensland scallops with roasted parsnips, a little bit of parsnip puree, some flavours of curry and tea-soaked raisins. The reason why we sort of put those combinations together, there's different levels of complexity, I think, in the Ambassador Lager, and some are quite in the front and quite dominant. Things sort of like coconut and passion fruit and sort of that floral herbaceousness were very sort of dominant. Which sort of works, and that sort of texture, the layer of a texture in the beer as well, which sort of works nice with the creaminess of the scallops. And there's a flavour in there that took a long time for us, when you can't quite put your finger on something, and it was sort of curry, it was like curry leaves in there, so that's why I've incorporated those flavours of a curry. And the combinations in terms of a dish on its own with the parsnips, the curry, the raisins and the scallops is quite a classic sort of a combination. So we've just sort of tinkered with a classic to sort of match those different levels of complexity in the lager. Following that, we have a veal which we've encrusted in a little bit of hay and straw, and we've tried to recreate the flavours and the aromas in the Ambassador by infusing these aromas into a salt crust and wrapping the veal in that crust and baking it, and then presenting it at the table and cracking it open. And you get all this beautiful perfume and release of hopefully all the different flavours in the beer and the aromas in the beer. So we'll see if that works, but that's sort of the thought process behind it. And that's served with a little potato puree and a crown jus. So it's basically a little veal jus, which is made by caramelising all the trimmings and the meat from the veal, finishing with a little bit of white wine, some veal stock, reducing that down, and we finish it with the Ambassador Lager. The dessert course, we've basically gone down the road of like I suppose more looked at those sweeter notes in the beer, the things like the passion fruit, the coconut. It's a cheesecake, but rather than using cream cheese in the base of the cheesecake, it's sort of deconstructed, so it's not a classical cheesecake, it's basically taking those flavours and textures of a cheesecake. But rather than using sort of a sweet, smooth, rounded cream cheese, we've gone for more of a goat's cheese. So you sort of get, you still get the sweetness and the party, but a nice sort of mustiness sort of up the back of your nose, which really brings out that pastiness in the lager. And then for the crumble or biscuit base of a cheesecake, we've crushed up our biscuits with a little bit of burnt butter and infused it with tiny little bit of lemon balm and also some coconut extract that sort of, I think, brings that sort of tropicalness of a beer a little bit to the forefront as well. And some lovely passion fruit pulp, and we've made a nice delicate ice cream with the Ambassador Crown as well. And so I think all those different sort of flavours in there really sort of, I suppose, highlight the different layers and the different depths and the complexity in the Crown. The thing for me, like wine and food matching has been around for forever, and over the last couple of years I think beer's starting to sort of play an important part as well, and especially when you get something that is handcrafted and finely made as the Ambassador. There's so many wonderful layers of complexity, and I think when people think about handcrafted beer quite often, as I did, you can think about really big, rich, heavy beers, and it's not the case. It's quite light and sprightly and got some really different interesting levels of flavour complexity. So I hope people take away that something like the Ambassador is not just a luxury item, it is something that you can buy to really enjoy with a meal as you would a wine, and probably alongside a wine as well.